Dear participants, I welcome all of you in this lecture of programming in Python, where I will discuss file handling and how to handle different type of files. It means how to open a file. Let's say you are having a text file. So how you are opening, how you need to open that text file, or how you can write, or you can read or write to those files. So that we'll discuss in today's class. So in today's class, we'll discuss basic concepts of file and how to open and close a file, and there are different access modes actually that we'll discuss, right? Like read mode, write mode, append mode, read plus mode, read write mode. So that we'll discuss. Attributes of file, there are several attributes of file as well that we'll discuss. Reading and writing to a file. So all these concepts we'll discuss in today's class. So most of the program that we have seen so far are transient in nature actually. So what does it mean? Once you write a program, so once it is terminated, so let's say you are you have written a program where you have used certain variables, right? And once it is executed, all those contents would be erased from the memory, right? The contents of variables. So that is actually transient nature of program. So if you run the program again, it is start with a clean state actually. So some programs are persistent; they keep at least some of their data in permanent storage. So if you are writing a persistent program, it means you are actually writing certain data to the permanent storage. So that is the concept of file handling. It means if I am writing certain data to file, so that would be permanently stored in your storage. So examples of persistent programs are web servers, which run all the time waiting for requests from the network. So you might have observed, right? So whatever you are, let's say I'm opening a website. So my web server is receiving that request. Let's say I'm opening a page of a particular website. So it would listen, my web server would listen that request, and it will send a response so that that can be visible to your client end. So a web server is actually in running in persistent mode. So one simple way for programs to maintain their data is to store data into files. So that is the case. So we will be discussing that type of program where we can store certain data into files, and later on we can read those data, and even we can write certain more data to that files in append mode. So a file, what is a file? So a file is a chunk of logically related data or information which can be used by computer program. So your file is actually a logically related data. So usually a file resides on a durable storage. Durable means that data is persistent, right? That we discussed. So that is, it can be used by other programs after the program which has created or manipulated it has terminated. It means once a program has written to certain data to a file, later on some other program can read that file, right? A unique name is used by the program to access a file for reading and writing purposes. So whenever you create a file, so it actually you need to give a unique name to that program in that directory, right? So you could have same file name in different directories, but in a single directory, your file name should be unique. And suppose you have all this concept in your mind. Now Python can allow to Python allows us different type of methods and function through which you can manage your file. So what file management is? So it is the manipulation of data in a file on a computer. So file management actually includes creating a new file, opening a file, writing it to a file, reading from a file, closing a file, and so on. So all we will discuss in today's lecture: how to create a new file, how to open a file for read purpose or write purpose, and how to close a file. So how we can open a file? So file have to be opened before a program can read data from it or write data to a file. So if you are interested to read or write a file, so first you need to open a file. So the first task is to open a file. So this is the name of the file, and this is access mode that we'll discuss. Access mode, it's read purpose or write purpose or append purpose, and so on. So if you are working in this file name is actually, it would be, if you are opening this file in read mode and this file is not there in your directory in which you have written that program. And in Python, suppose you have written this program, Python program, in directory, let's say E, right? So it would look, your program would look for this file into this directory only, right? If it is present, then it is okay. Otherwise, it gives an exception. Since your file is not present at that location and you are trying to open in read mode only, right? And if you need to access, let's say you are having a file in D directory, ABC folder, inside this ABC folder, right? So what you need to do, you need to provide the whole path of your file where it is residing. So, the main thing is here, you need to provide a file name with access mode. So after you have created, you have opened your file and performed read or write data on. You are trying to read certain data from the file, or you are trying to write to that file. After that activity, you need to close that file. So the syntax for close the file is file. So let's say my file one is the object. Actually, this file one is the object. You could say handler, right? So you need to use file handler or object, and then dot close. So it will close that file. So it is very important to close the file. We'll discuss if you are not closing the file, so what would happen, right? So a handler would remain open, and if you are having several handler in your program, Python program, so it is best practice to close each and every handler once you have performed all the activity of that particular file. Now we'll discuss what are the different access modes. So first of all, the access mode is read. R. It means you want to open that file for read purpose. So if file exists, then it is okay. If file is not there in that location, so it would give an error since that file is not present. The another access mode of read purpose is read plus. See, it's open a file for both reading and writing. The file pointer, or you could say the file object that I told you, file object, or you could say file handler, plays at the beginning of the file. So in case of reading a file, your file pointer would be at the beginning. So once you have created open a file, let's say this is the file and you have given certain object, right? File 1 is equal to open, and so on. So you have written this code. So this is the file 1 object, and once you have opened this file for read purpose, so file pointer would remain at this position. You can manipulate this file pointer. How to manipulate? There is a special function through which we can manipulate, that we'll discuss. So, but as soon as you open a file in read purpose, your file pointer would be here, and then you would move on to read the content of the file. Then there is another mode that is called W, or you could say write mode. So it opens a file for writing only. If the file is present, there are different cases. If the file is present, then it overwrites the content, right? And if file does not exist, it creates a new file for writing. So in case of write mode, if file is present, the file you are trying to open in write mode. If that file is present, then it override the content, right? And if file is not present, it would create the file. But if this is not the case with the read mode, it would not create the file, but it would give you an error. Similarly, write plus, it means you are trying to open the file for writing for write purpose as well as for read purpose. Okay, so using W plus access mode, you can read your file as well as you can write to your file. If file doesn't exist, then it would create a new file, right? Then another mode is append mode. So it opens a file for appending. So that is the difference between W and A. So if file is present, so W would override the content. If file is present, append mode would actually append the content. So if it would not erase the content, it would not override the content, but it would append the content. If file is not present, then it would create the file. So both would create the file, W as well as A mode. So both would create the file in case file is not present. Similarly, A plus, it means you can read the content as well. A plus mode, it means you can append the content and you can read the content as well. Now, we will discuss certain attributes of the file. So let's say you have open a file. Now, if you want to find out the name of the file, then you can use file.name. So this particular attribute would display the, suppose you are writing a statement print file.name, right? So it would print the name of the file. Similarly, file.mode will print the mode of the file, whether it is in read mode, write mode or append mode. Similarly, file.closed, it actually return true if file is closed, otherwise it will return false. So these attributes we can use in our program. I will discuss one program through which I will try to show you all these syntax. Now, how to write a file? Suppose you have open your file for write purpose. Then the next question is how to write the content. Now there is a method that is write. So it would write and in that method the parameter is a string. So if anything you want to write to your file, just enclose it in a string and that you can write to your file. So the write method does not add a new line. So especially you need to include new line if you want to have new line in your file. Then there is one more method, that is write lines. So it actually writes multiple lines to your program, and so the write lines method is used to write multiple lines in a file. It write list of multiple strings. So it means your list would contain suppose you have created a list like A is equal to, and let's say you are having different statements in this list, right? Like in this case I have written here. So this list is having several statement, or you could say several sentences actually, and in all the sentence I have used /n, it means new line. Now write lines can all at once write all these content to your file. So using file.write lines, I can write all the content of this list to my file, and in that file the data would be in separate line. I mean the statements would be in separate line. So that is the purpose of write lines. Then how to read the content? So we are, for read purpose we are having different methods actually. So first of all we need to use file object, then read, and it can't actually says how much I want to, the number of bytes to be read actually, how much byte I want to read. So I can give 5, 6, 8 and so on. So if you are not passing the count, then it would try to read the whole content of your file, right? So this method starts reading from the beginning position of the file, and if count is missing, then reads until the end of the file, right? So I have already told you, once you are reading a file and you have opened your file for read purpose, so the file pointer would be the at the beginning of the file, right? So file pointer would be beginning of the file. Suppose this is a file that the content I have written here. So suppose this is the file. So my file pointer would remain at the beginning of the file. Then one thing need to be remembered here. So all files have a end of file indicator. So end of file is very important concept here. Since how can we identify that my suppose there is no much content to be read, right? Suppose I have read all the content and after that there is no such content. So how to identify that end of file? So it actually provides a end of file indicator that actually signals to your program that there is no more data to read in a file. Trying to read past the end of file will return an empty string. So suppose you have read all the contents. So then it would after that it would give you an empty string, like in this case. So you have printed certain let's say you are trying to open a file in write mode. Better to switch to ideally I will try to show you how actually reading of file actually end of file returns empty strings. Let me open the ideally. So I'm trying to read a file. Let's say I'm opening a file1 is equal to open, and let's say I'm giving a name as file1.txt, and I will first open this in write plus mode. So what write plus mode would perform if this file does not exist, since it is not it is not there at this moment of time, file1 does not exist. So it would create the file, right? And then I would write certain content to this file. Let's say file1 dot write, and I would write I am living in Delhi, and so I have written this content, right? Write one more line here, file1 dot write. So Delhi is capital of India. So these two statements would be written to this file. Now I will close this one, file1 dot close, right? Let me execute this one. So I'm trying to run this file. So it has there is no any error in this file, and at background it has created the file. Let me open this one. So it has created this file, you can see here. So I'm living in Delhi, and Delhi is capital of India, and it has since I have used /n is used for new line. So the statements are in separate lines, that's why. So now let's say now I am reading the content of the file. So I would first change the mode here, read. Now it won't give me error because this file exists now, right? Now I would read the content. So print file1 dot read, right? Now I would write here print very first read, okay, and then I would include one more statement here, next read, second read. I will mention here second read, okay. So let's say what it shows. Okay, I'm trying to read this or execute this one. So very first read, after that you have got this content, and after second read there is no content here. Why it's so? Since I have already told you, read, the very first read has read all the content. Now your file pointer is at end of file. Now if you would try to read the content again, so it would return empty string since my file pointer is there, right? So that is the purpose of end of file. Now I can also write several lines at once. Let's say I'm using this file for write purpose. Okay. Now I can create a list here. Let's say first line, and then slash in, and second line slash in, and then third line, right? So this is my list of statements, you could say, list of statements. Now I can write all at once, right? So file one dot write lines and then a. Okay. So let me save this one, and I'm trying to close this one also, right? So what is there in my file as of currently it is having this data. I am living in Delhi and Delhi is capital of India. Now I would execute this one. Sorry. So now it is perfectly fine. So nothing is there. I mean, I have not used print statement in this file, but it has executed perfectly fine. And what is the content now in your file? So let me open that file now and let me check what is the content there. You can see here. Now the new content is there. So why there is new content and what about the older content? Since I have used write mode, W mode. So because of that W mode, it has overwritten the content. In place of W, if I have used A mode, append mode, then it would have appended the content, right? And the another thing to be noted here, I have write all the content at once using the write lines, right? So in this way, you can write the content. Let me switch to the PPT now. Now, how can we read individual characters from a file, right? So since I have told you, read through read, there is a function read, and read can be used to read number of bytes or to read the whole content. There is one more method, that is read line. There is another method, that is read line, and the purpose of read line, it is actually used to read characters from the current line only. So if you are having multiple lines, so you can read individual line using read line. And now in read line, you can pass the value. Let's say here 5 and 200. So you want to read these number of characters, right? Like 5 number of characters, 200 number of characters, and in this case it would read the whole line. So there are different version of read, actually, read and read line. So there is one more function, that is read lines. So it would it is used to read all the lines from a text file and store them into a list of lines. It is important, actually. So what actually read lines does, suppose in your file you are having 10 different statements, 10 sentences actually. So it would read all those content and it will create a list of lines, right? Like the case with write lines. What write lines do? Write lines write the list of statements in single call, right? Similarly, read lines read the whole content of your file and create a list of lines. So that is the difference between read, read line and read lines. There are 3 different methods as far as read is concerned. Now, I told you, file pointer actually move from once you open a file for read purpose, your file pointer is at the beginning, right? And after that, it would move on. So suppose you have read the whole content, you have used a read method. So the file pointer would be at the end of the file. Now using seek method, you can manipulate your file pointer. You can update your file pointer. So how to update your file pointer? So it actually needs offset, and there is an optional parameter that is from where, from what. So offset is number of position to move forward. Let's say 10 position, 20 positions, and so on. So it actually move in the form of offset. And from what, it defines the pointer of reference. From what is actually from where you want to move, from beginning, from the current file position, from the end of the file. So these are certain parameters of from what. So 0, it means say the reference point at the beginning of the file. So if I would write here offset seek and then 5 and then 0. So it means from beginning it will move my file pointer to 5. It means it would move my offset to 5. Now the file pointer would move to 5 offset. Similarly, if you are providing here, let's say 2. So it means you are at the end of the file and this is not valid in this case. So you can write here -5. It means you are moving your file pointer from end to 5 offset earlier, right? So in this way you can modify your file pointer. Let me erase this one. So it is very important method to update your file pointer. Let me show one thing related to seek. I'm switching to IDLE. So now I'm using this one for read purpose. Let's say read purpose. I'm commenting this one. I'm reading the whole content. Read, and then so what it will do? It will do the whole content, right? And then I'm including one more here, and this is my first read, and then print, and it is having second read, and then I'm again reading this content, right? So what would happen after the first read? You know, I have already told you, after the first read, it would return your file read will return empty, since your file pointer is at the end, right? Let me execute this one. I have already shown the similar program here. You can see here, after first read, the content has been displayed here, and after the second read, empty string has been returned. Now I can reinitialize my file pointer. After the first read, I can reinitialize my file pointer. Let's say file1 dot seek 0. Now observe the output now. So you can see here, after the second read, again I am getting the content, since it has modified my file pointer to the beginning of the file, right? Now I am switching to the PPT now. So this is the purpose of seek. So by default, from what argument is set to 0, you know, sorry. So by default, your from what will be 0, right? So in this case, you can move your file pointer. Now there are certain exercises here. Write a Python program to count number of lines in a file. If you want to count the number of lines, write a Python program to count number of words. Write a Python program to count number of characters in a file. Write a Python program to count number of lines, words, character, alphabets, and digits in a file. So let's I'm solving here 1 or 2 questions, and the rest you are supposed to solve these questions. So write a Python program to count number of line and number of words. So I will try to show you how we can perform this task. Let me allow to switch IDLE. So in this file, I have these contents, right? In my file1.txt, I have these contents already. First line, then second line. Let me show you the content of this file. So these are the content of this current file, and now I'm trying to find out the number of lines and number of words in in this particular file, right? So for that purpose, I'm writing Python code. What I will perform here. So I would write here, write read lines. So there is a function that is called read lines. Let me show you. K is equal to read lines. Sorry, file1 dot read lines. So it would give me whole content of the file in the form of list, right? In the form of list. So K would be list of statements, right? And now I can read here for I in K, right? And print I. Let's see what it actually gives you. Let me execute this one. Sorry, it is file1. File1. So it has given me all these statements, the very first line, then second line, and then third line, right? So I would just make a counter here. Line count is equal to line underscore +1, and I am initializing this line underscore count is equal to 0, right? So this line underscore count will give me the count of line, right? Now I need to find out the number of words. Okay, so what I will do here, since I is having individual statement, and you can observe in individual statement there are several words, right? So I would first split this one, I dot split, and I will store it here in words, I dot split. So what it would give me? So word would contain list of words, since split actually returns a split of words on the basis of, since I am splitting on the basis of blank spaces, right? So by default, split actually contains blank spaces. It split the sentence on the basis of blank space. I can give another splitting character as well, but as of now, I'm the sentence is being splitted here on the basis of blank space, right? Now my word is containing the list of words. Now I would read my words, J in words, J in words. Now J would actually, now I am making one more variable here, list of word count, W word count. Now I can include a statement, word underscore count is equal to word underscore count +1, right? And then, so what it will do, in J, words, yeah. So words would contain the list of words of the particular sentence, and in next run, the very first run, I would actually contain the first sentence, right? Then it would split this sentence into different words, right? And so on. Now I can print all these. So let me print and number of lines, then it is line underscore count, and then number of words, which is word underscore count. So let me run this one, and you can observe the like number of lines 3 and number of words is 6. So in this way you can calculate the number of lines and number of words. And one thing more, you can directly calculate the length as well. Since key is having list, so if I would print k dot length, so it would give me if I would print length of k, then it would give me 3. Similarly, I can calculate the length of each and every words, right? So I can modify this to use length function as well, but you can write this code in this manner. So let me switch to the PowerPoint now. So first two problems I have solved here, and 3 and 4 you can solve, and otherwise I have mentioned the code for the whole exercises. So these are codes. This is the it actually starts from here, and then next part is written here. Okay, next part is written here, and so this is Python code for finding the frequency. Okay, so let me select the pen. So the first part is this one, right? Sorry, first part is this one, and then this is the second part. So just to summarize what we have discussed till now, so we have seen basic concepts of file, how to open and closing a file, what are the different access modes, read, write, append, attributes of file, if you want to find the name of the file, and then reading and writing, how to read and write certain content of a file. So thank you so much for joining this session. We'll meet again in next lecture. Thank you.